Hello and welcome to the Keto Man's Club podcast.
We're glad you're here, where each week we talk about men's health and lifestyle.
We do so with the foundation of the ketogenic diet and lifestyle.
If you don't know what keto is, stick around and you'll find out.
The podcast will bring you real, honest fun.
Each week we strive to uncover the tips and tricks that you can use in your everyday life to maximize your overall health.
Find the clearest path to becoming the best version of yourself that you were meant to be.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Keto Man's Club podcast. My name is Chris. I'm one of your hosts, and as always, I'm joined by Jim and Alberto. How's it going, Jim?
All is good, sir. Fall weather's kicked in and cool temperatures and everything, but overall not too bad.
Yeah, you were just saying a minute ago that your temperatures are actually a little warmer than they are here for us in Central Texas, which is saying something. Berto, how are you faring over there in Pflugerville?
I am inside my house, which means this will be a very typical podcast, or it'll be a highly interrupted one. We'll see how the kids behave.
Yep. Oh, I'm sure they'll be fine. Yeah, it's getting a little cold. We don't often use our fireplace, but we when we hit the first cold snap, we ended up throwing some wood in and getting a fire going, and we're watching a movie while enjoying the heat of the fire before we're starting recording. So yeah, good times for sure as October rolls in. For those, this is the 27th of October, so it's almost Halloween at this point. So we're getting some good weather here. Any club business as far as actually we can say by the time this airs the pre-sales will have closed completely, and that the pre-sales have gone decently well, so we'll have those shirts and hoodies out just as soon as we can for those who bought them. So we've got that news. What else do we have?
Pretty much, if you haven't heard by now, our good friend Robert Sykes had his Instagram account, as he put it, officially nuked. So he's asking everyone to follow at Live Savage, which is, I guess, is his new account now, until he gets things sorted out. So as I said in that post earlier, if you're going to do one thing today, head on over to Instagram, like his new / backup page, and let's keep that guy rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. They've already got it back up to 1,000-ish followers, so it's maybe 1,200 at this point, which is small pickings for him, but it's a good start. Hopefully Instagram will do what's right and they'll fix it, but they've drug their heels on that type of thing before, so who knows if they'll actually be human enough to actually recognize that there's something wrong and get it fixed. Hopefully that won't happen, or hopefully they'll do so. Jim, any other club business to attend to before we dive into the shout outs?
I think that, as per standard, we're ready to start accepting our holiday gifts from our members. Mm-hmm. So, just direct those to the Keto Man's Club podcast email. We'll direct them to the right person who should receive them. No, I'm kidding. No, there's nothing. I mean, if anybody wants to do a half side of beef or something like that, that's, we'll welcome the love.
We would absolutely find a place for the beef to go. It would be easy enough. Okay, well then let's get into shout outs then, and then we'll go from there. So let's start with Berto.
We want to go heavy first, or we want to go light and funny first?
Well, whatever direction you want to go.
All right, we're going to go a little heavy at first, and then we'll lighten up as we go. First one, not a member. It's actually my dad. We went up to Chicago to visit the parents last week. That's why I wasn't on to record, because it was my last night there, and it was also my anniversary. I said it on the podcast before. Dad had a real rough go last year, almost checked out on us, and bounced back. And as of me going up there, the man hasn't touched a drink in 1.5 years.
Awesome. That is amazing.
Finally decided that enough was enough, and it's just wasn't for him anymore. And yeah, just like that, man. And if, for all the guys out there, I mean, this guy had a lifetime of drinking under his belt. It was part of him, and he decided it was enough. And then that was 1.5 years ago, and he's looking great. He's sounding great. He's extremely coherent. He's almost a different person than the last time I went up there. So I'm proud of you, Pops.
That's awesome. That is
Good
fantastic.
Deal.
And number two, and number one, and my next two, I got too many shout outs. I'm going to take up a lot of time here. Is going to go to Frank, and there's a small story behind it because when I went up to Chicago, our good friend Frank Campanella, culinarylion.com, I dragged my little baby pellet smoker up there along with a brisket because, I mean, who doesn't if you're going on a road trip, right?
So, and gas is so cheap right now, so yeah, let's haul something while we drive.
So we packed it in the van, took it up there. You know, my family up there wanted a brisket. I'm like, sure, I can do a brisket. I've done a brisket on this little tiny guy. You know, no problem. And then you can't find briskets very easily up there, so I just dragged one with me while we were at it. And basically, it was gonna be my first ever like quote unquote cold weather testing because I've never smoked and it was like 32 degrees out that night, and you know these things are supposed to be made to handle it. I've never done it, so I didn't know. So I set it up as I normally do, and I actually bought a welding blanket to throw over it just to help insulate it a little bit. Now this is where it gets kind of funny, is so I put them in at night and I set the temperature to 190 degrees so that they can run at 190 all night. Well, I woke up at 3 a.m., dumped a bunch more pellets in there, went back to bed, woke up at 7 a.m. and did my usual thing, open it, bark looks good, temp it. Every time I do this, I temp it, it's 160 degrees internal. Never fails. Temp it, this thing is done. 205 degrees internal, finished. So I accidentally went hot and fast. And I mean, it wasn't supposed to be for dinner that night, so it was like quite literally done 8 hours ahead of schedule. So the only thing I can think of that happened is when I draped the welding blanket over it. I only draped it over the cooking chamber and not over the actual hopper. So where that thermometer is, it was reading half of the 30-degree temperature and a half of the temperature inside the cooking chamber, and therefore it was obviously not actually, you know, because if it's only set to 190, the meat can't get to over 190 degrees like ever. But it was done. So basically, this thing ran hot all night, finished 8 hours early. So I'm kind of panicking. So I message Frank. I'm like, dude, let me just get your phone number. This will be a much faster conversation. Frank gives me his phone number. I call Frank. I explain to him. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. Am I supposed to put this thing in the fridge? Am I supposed to, you know, am I supposed to hang out with this thing? And we both sit there like, well, you know, if it stays hot, it's still good. I've never rested a brisket that long. So long story short there, I rested that brisket for 8 hours until dinner time, cut it, and it was still pretty good. I mean, it wasn't like my best brisket ever, but I've never also rested a brisket for 8 hours. But all things considered, what I now call the Hail Mary brisket, everyone was satisfied with it. You know, we ended up just chopping the whole thing up and just eating it all mixed together because the one end got extremely dry, as you could imagine. But yeah, all things considered, it wasn't half bad.
Very
so
cool.
On to my final and shortest story. My dad and nephew that also lives with them, Andrew, he's also a member in the group. Absolutely loved the pellet smoker, so I made Andrew a deal. I'm like, you know, he's wanted to go pick up some ribs. I go, you pick up some ribs, we'll guide you through it. You put these things on. If they come out and they come out perfect, you can keep the smoker, but I'm keeping the rib rack you got to buy. And so we shook on it, and he nailed the ribs. So I ended up leaving the smoker up there for him, and now he's enjoying his new passion of smoking meats and rocking on up there. And I got rid of one grill.
Yeah, down one. You've got 2 or 3 more to go before you get back down to only one. But I don't think you'll ever do that.
No.
Very cool. Jim, how about you?
My shout out, speaking of dads, goes to a dad of one of our members. Mike Russell posted a family photo up this week. Says that his dad is 68 years old, and he's in the center of this photo, and it's about 2 years old or so. Dad is close to 300 pounds when the photo was taken. So Mike writes, he doesn't do keto. He just cooks for my mom. Last night at dinner, he ordered fajitas with no rice, no beans, or tortillas. We're in about 14 months of him just cooking for my mom, and he mentions he's down to 218 pounds. So I don't know that Dad is totally following keto exactly, but he's definitely cutting the carbs from what it sounds like and some other things here. And Mike, wrote about how his dad has inspired him and done a lot of good things and whatnot. So he was glad to kind of see that Dad was inspired by Mike's change, following the keto way of eating. And Yeah, hopefully Pops has. It's night for dads. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
So there you go.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna do mine. I've got one from a few days ago. It looks, the name is Tim Bowles, and Tim posts looking to turn this pile of mush into a body that rivals Greek gods. Been keto for 2 years and have lost weight, but need to kick it up a lot. Starting workout recommendations. Just to be clear, I work as a courier. Every day is leg day at the apartments, but still can't do a push-up. What we're seeing with him on that is lots of, he's just got a lot of visceral weight. Obviously, he's lost a good amount of weight already. You can tell that there's a lot less structure behind what we're seeing. But he's looking for things that someone who doesn't have the muscle mass and still has, either the loose skin or the visceral fat that they're dealing with, I can get started. And there's a very good, lively conversation a lot. And that's why I'm wanting to shout it out mainly. His achievements are excellent. By the way, he's doing great work already, but we all have ways, we're all at different points in our journey. A lot of the suggestions were to focus on things like basic walking a lot. And just to add my 2 cents to that, with the continuous glucose monitor, I am actively seeing like 10-point drops in my glucose if I just go and do grocery shopping. Just walking the aisles of the grocery store will, over a period of 30-40 minutes, will drop my glucose by like 10 millimole per deciliter, which is, a pretty big drop over a very short period of time. And, it put a complete stop to a rise after doing a workout. And so just doing basic things like walking and whatnot can do major things for helping increase fat loss and things like that. So really good stuff in the conversation there. You should look that up. It was originally posted on October 23rd. So definitely good job, Tim, in not only doing what you've done, but also pushing forward and trying to find what's going to work best for you moving forward to kick it up a notch, as you said. Okay. Well, I think that covers most of the club business. Just a reminder to our listeners before we dig into the conversation that we are excited to have with David here. The ways that you can connect with us here in the podcast and everything is all the links for that are available on our website, theketomansclub.com. You can also email us at ketomansclubpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll give our voicemail number here, voicemail or text number. I should mention that. I don't often, but you can actually text us as well at the same number, and it will come to us if you want to shoot us a text message. The phone number is 512-518-6161. So you can call, leave a voicemail, or text us whatever your message is, and we would look forward to hearing or seeing that. The last thing that we would ask you to do is take a minute to leave a review on Apple Podcast. If you would, that helps the algorithm do its thing and get us in front of more people that might be able to hear, more people who might need to hear the conversations that we're having with the guests that we have, and learn active ways that they can take next steps with their health journey. So that's pretty much it. I think we've covered everything there. And we are talking with David Herrera today. David, how's it going?
Going great, man. How's it going with you guys?
So far, so good. Thanks for coming on today. We're excited about having the conversation with you today. Get us started on like who you are, a little bit of your background, but don't worry about the health stuff yet. We'll dig into all of that in a bit.
Well, I was born and raised in Miami. I have a Cuban background. My parents came from Cuba in the 60s, and the typical, middle class family. Um, Parents didn't really like cook so much, just kind of like the basics, and a lot of stuff was just pop in the oven, and you know fast food and drive through type deal, and that's kind of how it was growing up. I grew up with asthma. I had asthma from about 2 years old to about 9. And so I remember, being, playing outside with friends and my mom having to call me in and hook up the nebulizer, and I'm breathing through, a machine, and just watching my friends play outside. I also was injected with steroids every 2 weeks. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that had a lot to do with it. I mean, I had an appetite as a kid. I was always the biggest one, in the class, biggest one on the baseball team. And that was another thing. Baseball was the sport, the family sport. And I got passed up a lot as far as like, they would put me in the outfield and I couldn't play my natural position because they thought I couldn't move. My natural position was third base. So they would always, resort to putting me in the outfield or first base or whatever. And so I had to deal with that. Um, but ever since I was a kid, it was always, I always had food addiction issues. I would hide food in my closet, in my drawers, wrappers found everywhere. Um, I was a night crawler for sure, making, you can catch me in my room 2 in the morning making, sandwiches and, and all sorts of things. Um, and then that developed into, me graduating high school very big, working in restaurants at a very young age. Obviously eating in a lot of those restaurants, working double shifts, you just have to resort to, restaurant food. And and yeah, man, developed gout, sleep apnea. It just started to get worse and worse as I got older. And then met my wife, and we had our little like honeymoon moment where we were eating out and we gained, I guess, the little, honeymoon weight. But eventually I stumbled upon keto and in intermittent fasting as well. And I just dedicated my lifestyle to that and going to the gym every single day. And it was basically me, waking up finally and realizing that I have to fix my life. If not, I was not gonna go anywhere. So um one of my life goals has always been to be, to get married, obviously, but to be a father and have kids and stuff. And I want them to have to see me. I don't want them to see me suffer. I would like them to see me, healthy and, with good habits and stuff. So I felt it was gonna be, good for me to get started on this now. And my dad always told me, he was like, yo, do this now. Don't wait till you're 40. As you get older, it's just gonna get harder and harder and harder. And then, here we are, a year and 10 months later, and I'm 135 pounds down, still trying to get to my goal weight of 220, but you know, it'll get there. But yeah,
How old are you now?
33.
Oh, and you're ahead of schedule. You said you didn't want to wait
Yeah.
till you didn't want to wait till you're 40. You're doing good, man. You're doing
Yeah, definitely.
And you're still in Miami?
We live in the next county up. I work for the city of Miami. But me and my wife, we live in Pembroke Pines, which is in Broward County, right on top of Miami-Dade. Like Miami's like 15 minutes away.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
You've said that you had the food addiction thing and hiding food and whatnot. So, any idea how that, I mean, started? Did you ever feel like you were lacking in food or anything, so you kind of just tucked it away for future's sake, or what actually brought it out?
I have no idea. It was, I mean, like I said, my mornings were always, as a kid, like it was always, cereal, a big lunch, soda throughout the day. I would be lying if I told you how many sodas I would drink a day, but it was a lot. Fast food was always there. I don't know. It just kind of developed through time. I just got bigger, and it was my safe place. You know, if I ever had anything bad happen to me, that was what I went to. It was always food, and Taco Bell being a favorite still to this day. I've just obviously done it keto now, but yeah, man. I remember specifically, like, I would pretend to be sick in the clinic or whatever, and my dad would come pick me up, and there was two things that would make me crack a smile, and it would be, oh, let's go to the pool, or hey, you want to go to Taco Bell, and a smile from ear to ear. And yeah, man, food was just it just, and the weight just packed on and on and on. I've tried many diets throughout, my life, as a kid, doing acupuncture, Slim Fast, Jenny Craig, you name it. I've done it. I tried it. It was nothing that I can sustainably stick to. I couldn't stick to anything. And there was just something about keto. I was doing HCG right before hopping onto keto, and that right there was, it was good at first, but then it just became a disaster. And then I just went into intermittent fasting, looked up into that, and I just, became obsessed with it, became obsessed with the lifestyle. I had to make sure that, my feed on Instagram was filled with people on the same mission, weight loss, all that stuff. I had to see it from all angles. I was, subscribing to pages on YouTube of, like Goody Beats and Thomas DeLauer and all these guys and Keto Connect. And yeah, man, everybody has played a big part, in helping me get to my journey, even people that are not on keto. One of the big helpers that's been on keto, and that has helped me big time, and he doesn't even know it. I think I've told him a couple of times. Gormy.
I knew you were
That
going to say
that
Gormy.
yeah, man. Yeah, man.
That Gormy.
That's Father Prime right there. That's Master Yoda. That's my dude.
Yeah. No, you
I
can't. You can't deny Gormy and his accomplishments. I got nothing but respect for the guy. I love that dude.
Dude, I cannot wait to the day that I'm telling my wife, I'm like, I think I want to go to Keto Palooza, and I want to meet him, you know. And he just moved to San Diego, and he's telling us how great it is over there, and I already know how beautiful it is over there. I mean, I've never been there, but I've heard about how great it is over there. But I told my wife, I was like, I think I want to go over there, and I've got the biggest hug waiting for him when I meet him. But yeah, man, everybody's played a major part. Even seeing the Keto Men's group on Facebook. It's seeing how many members, everybody getting it every single day. Like it's very motivating, very inspiring, and I'm happy to do the same. Like, it's amazing when you get a DM from someone across the country, and they're like, "Wow, you've motivated me, and you've helped me lose 50 pounds." Like, that's just it's great. It's the content that we all provide is helping the next person in line, and I just think it's wonderful, man.
Absolutely. So I want to jump into something specific that you mentioned, because I think I know what you're referring to, but I want to make sure. You said that you were doing, before you found and got into intermittent fasting and keto, you were doing HCG. That's a hormone therapy that's used usually in conjunction with a testosterone replacement therapy, or can actually be used by itself to help with testosterone production and supporting fertility in men. Specifically for me and my protocol, it helps me make sure that my things don't shrivel up into grapes. So that being said, was that what you were referring to? And tell us a little bit more about that methodology, because there is an HCG diet I've heard about.
Yeah, that's the one that I was on. I know that there's two types of ways. It's injection or drops under your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, that I didn't really get into it. It was just another fad diet that I was trying. I had known friends that were doing it. I just was told, hey, go to this website. This has got the food. Order the drops. Order vitamin B12 shots. I mean, drops, and take that as well. And just follow the diet and stick to the calories, and you should be fine. And you're gonna have loading phases. And then what intrigued me was the loading phases. I think you have to eat basically whatever you want for 2 days straight. Then after that, you cut your calories to like 1,200. Yeah, but those 2 days were like fun because like you're gorging on all sorts of stuff, and then all of a sudden you cut it to 1,200 calories, and the food, the grocery list is just so limited. It was horrible. There was nothing fun about it, And the first time me and my wife did it, I lost 50 pounds. She lost 25. And, I guess it was because it was new and we wanted to stick with it, but then we got comfortable, we lost that amount, and then we went back to eating this, crap and just gained the weight back. So we attempted to do it, I think like 5 to 7 more times after that, and it was just not successful. Um, and then, my wife had friends that were doing keto. I had friends that were doing keto. So, I reached out, she reached out, and then I was just getting more and more information. And I was just like, okay, wait a minute. I can have cheese, I can have eggs, I can have, steak, burgers, all that stuff. All I got to do is just ditch the bread. No big deal. Like, and even though I'm Cuban and bread and like Cuban coffee is in like my blood, it's been there since birth, you know, it was not a big deal, to get rid of it, in my opinion. And it was something, I worked on. It wasn't easy, but, I just got through it. And then the exercising as well. My wife and I had moved into my parents' apartment to save money, and downstairs my parents had a gym, and that's the gym that I still go to this day. And hardly nobody goes there. It's got everything basically you need. I just wish it had like, a barbell and probably like an easy curl bar or something, but it pretty much has everything. It has a sauna, steam room, you name it, it has it. So that's basically where I lost all my weight and gained muscle at the same time. And and yeah, man, when we moved in there, I told myself there's no excuse. I'm gonna be in the gym every day, gonna intermittent fast every day, gonna get 10,000 steps every day, gonna drink so and so amount of water every day. Like it was little pieces to the puzzle, and and I'm getting it done. I'm getting it done, and in no way, shape, or form is the journey ever over. That's what I tell, the people that I coach today. Like I'm like, just know that, when you quit or when you stop, what are you going back to? Like, are you gonna go back to the same way of eating? Because that's not gonna help you, But can you lose weight, without keto? Yeah, I do believe that whatever diet, you choose to do, it'll work as long as, you can do it sustainably. For me, it's keto, and it's my norm now.
Yeah, that seems to be the way it goes. And like you were saying, like yeah, it's a journey. It never really ends. And I was like, talking to my doctor today, I had a physical, and we were just going on about things that we could do better. And she's, and we both commented, well, you could do this better. You could always do that better. And I made the comment. I'm like, look, I go, you can think of the healthiest person you could possibly think of right now, the healthiest person you know. And if you were to ask them, they'd probably tell you a couple things they could stand to tighten up and do a little bit better. It's like,
Yeah.
so it never ends. It's just one of those things where it doesn't stop. So yeah, you need to have that in mind when you start this thing. We've all yo-yo dieted. I went from almost 200 pounds down to about 170 for my birthday. Like this was years ago, because that's what I wanted, to be as lean as I could be for my birthday. And I got there, and that went great. And then the birthday ended, and 2 months later, I was back up to 200 pounds again.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was because it is exactly what you were saying. Like I didn't think past that moment. Like I just thought this is where I want to be on my birthday. Get as lean as possible. but I had absolutely no idea what was going to happen after that day. And like I said, went back to old habits, went back to eating all the cheeseburgers and all the fries and all the junk. And sure enough, no time at all, man. That was
No, and I'm not
that
gonna
crept back.
lie, there was an event, that we were prepping for, because that's what I told my clients today. I was like, you have to look past that event or that trip or that moment or whatever, and just keep on moving forward, because originally it was, me and my wife were going to a destination wedding in Dominican Republic, and we wanted to look good for that. And when we got there, we were on an all-inclusive resort. It was wonderful, and I made sure that I got in a couple of workouts while I was there, and we did hiking and everything, and it was great. And I remember reaching out to so many people, Gormy probably being one of them, Keto Connect, Goody, Danny Vega, and just asking, hey guys, like, I'm going to Dominican Republic. I've been strict on keto since February. We're now in May. I have not cheated. I have not, done anything. By this time, I'm already like 70 pounds down. And, I asked them, I was like, am I going to explode? Like, what's going to happen? Am I going to be, am I going to be okay? And they were all just like, dude, just enjoy yourself. Make sure you're active while you're there. Drink tons of water. But at the end of the day, enjoy yourself. When you get back, just get right back to routine. And that's the difference. Some people, they go on that trip or they go to that event, they're at that event, and then after that, it's like they let go and they just go back to their normal ways. No, you just got to keep going. Even when you step on that scale and the scale doesn't move, don't get discouraged. No matter what, just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned coaching a second ago. Um, let's dig into that a little bit. How did you get into coaching? Why did you get into coaching? Did it just come to you, or how did that all work out for you?
It did come to me. It kind of landed on my lap. An ex-coworker of mine, car salesman. I used to work at a dealership many years ago, and he reached out to me and told me, "Listen, I have two daughters. They've had gastric sleeve surgery, and they've lost 75 pounds, but they look, they eat like crap. They need to learn how to eat, properly. And I've seen your success, and I would like you to coach him." He even set prices for me and everything, like the whole deal. He told me how much he was going to pay me. That just kind of like forced me to set up, my grocery list and stuff, a plan for them, you know, set up their macros, their calories, everything for them. And so, yeah, it just kind of snowballed after that. They brought me more clientele. I started to promote myself more. And then, yeah, here we are. And still coaching folks. One of my first clients, which he's still not my client, but he's a friend. Um, I coach Special Olympics. I have for like 13 years. And I also work in the field with adults with intellectual disabilities. And one of my athletes, his name is Michael Gonzalez. He is in his 20s, and he's married and everything, lives in an efficiency with his wife. She also has a disability, and they're both Special Olympic athletes. He's lost over 75 pounds under me since December of last year. And the dude literally would not cheat or anything without asking me first. Like sometimes he'll text me and he'll be like, "Hey coach, can I have a cheat meal?" And I'm just like, "Dude, you've already lost like a bunch of weight. Like if you want to have a cheat meal, do it. Just know that you have to, keep going, keep working out, don't stop, never stop that." And he's an inspiration, man, and Special Olympics and everybody has recognized him has told him what a great job he's doing, and then he's like, "Yeah, that's thanks to Coach David, to Keto D," and it's amazing to see, and I remember taking him to, because that's what I do with like local. If you're local and you want me to coach you, like I'll go with you to the grocery store and help you do your first grocery haul and kind of like break it down and how everything works, you know. And I remember going with him to Costco, and he just seemed so overwhelmed, but he got it. He got it, and he's been kicking ass, man. He's been doing really, really well. And but yeah, that's kind of how it happened. And I definitely want to continue coaching, definitely want to continue helping others. Um, I love working with people, you know, and dealing with everybody. Everybody has, it's funny because, like, the obstacles are what everybody deals with because everybody deals with it differently. And, but a lot of the same complaints, like, oh, I stepped on the scale and, how come I didn't have, success like I did my first month? And I'm like, well, most of it's water weight your first month. Your body's still getting used to everything, you know. Don't expect that number every month. Some months will be, -5 pounds. Some months will be -2 pounds. Some months will be, -10 pounds. But no matter what, keep working and you just have to get better. When I first started, I was just focusing on cardio. I wasn't a stranger to lifting or nothing like that, but I told myself I wanted to ease my way back into it. So I had an hour of cardio and I broke that up into, the elliptical, the stairmaster, the treadmill, and battle ropes. I would always end it with battle ropes. And that was basically what I started with. And then eventually I started, lifting, doing full body regimen, and yeah, right now I'm basically on the Goody Beats split right now. And yeah, man. So that's kind of how coaching came about.
Now,
How
are
long
you
have you been
just
coaching now?
Oh, no, since December.
Oh, wow, almost a year then.
Almost a year.
That's kind of cool how it just kind of all like came around organically and like like you were presented an opportunity and you could have done one of two things. You could have helped these girls out and just been like, all right, well that's cool and gone about your life, or you could have stepped up and done something with it. And it sounds like you made the right choice.
I tell people all the time that, if it wasn't for me making the decision, because I had my personal Instagram page and friends of mine were seeing my success on this and they were like, making an Instagram page, the best decision I ever made because it's introduced me to so many people, Gormy being one of them, you guys, everybody. Companies have, sent me stuff. This is, I think, my 10th podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Gormy's being the first, you know. So it's amazing because you get different crowds and different type of people, listening to this, and I get a bunch of people that'll write me messages and be like, "Hey man, I heard your podcast that you did with Gormy, and I felt like that was like many moons ago, and I was so different back then." But the information is still the same, and like I said, it's just awesome this how it all came about, and I'm excited to where it's gonna go. Like it's crazy.
very cool. So, are you just doing the one Special Olympics person, or do you have multiple clients in that regard?
No, he's my only Special Olympic athlete that is on keto. He is training his wife on keto. So like I'm kind of like micro coaching him to coach her. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, he's the only Special Olympic athlete on keto um that has had success.
Okay.
And I do know some others, like another Special Olympic athlete that I mentor because in Special Olympics Florida and other states they have what's called the Athlete Leadership Program, and basically it gives athletes a chance to not just be athletes, but a chance to work on their public speaking. So they've go to special events and across the country, across the state, and they speak and they just get the word out on Special Olympics and what we're trying to do. So every athlete leader has to have a mentor. And it's funny that it just came up on my Facebook memories, I think yesterday. Exactly 5 years ago, my buddy Danny, who I coached in softball, I got him his first gold medal. Well, my bad. We got him his first gold medal. The coaching staff that I was coaching with at that time, the whole team, like And I remember him in tears. Like we got him, him and others their first gold medal, and it was amazing. And he's gone on to go to like the World Games and Abu Dhabi. Like he's done amazing things. And he asked me, he was like, "Oh, I need an athlete. I need a mentor to be an athlete leader. It's required that you have to have a mentor. Would you be my mentor?" And I told him, "Wow, I'm blown away, man. Hell yeah, let's do it." And they've sent me and him like all across the state. They've flown us to Indianapolis for a conference. It's been great, man. And he himself, he's not on keto, but he has changed his ways and he's eating a lot healthier now. But he was a big dude, very, very, very big dude. Um, the biggest calves you'll ever see in your life, like I promise you. And even today, like they're even stronger and bigger than I've ever seen. But the dude has lost around 70 pounds as well, and he's just killing it, man. But as far as keto, no, Mr. Michael Gonzalez is the only one that's killing it with that.
That's all good.
David, I've got two questions for you, two different
Sure.
things. So the first one is about the food addiction. That's not something that a lot of people can just do a 180 on and get started back in the right way or whatever the case may be. So I want you to first give us a little bit of insight about how you were able to adapt and change your eating habits.
Well, what my wife had a lot of help. When I met her, I was 2 weeks into I had quit smoking 2 weeks before I met her. I used to smoke cigarettes for like 11 years. I was in the restaurant business for 12 years as a server bartender. Um, so like I said, like that was just lots of bad habits, drinking, smoking cigarettes, late night eating, those habits were there. And then I remember I had a really, really bad day. Most of the time I've always worked two jobs. So I've had my city job and then I've worked in the restaurant business after work. And I just had a really, really bad day at the city job that I even had a flat tire. It was bad, and I called the restaurant that I was working at and told them, "Hey, I'm not gonna be able to make it. I have a flat tire. I still have to get home and change. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it to my shift." And at that time, there was a big, big music festival, very popular music festival. You guys ever heard of Ultra Festival? They had that here in Miami, and
Is that like a square dancing kind of thing, or
no, definitely not. Definitely not.
Oh,
But
I'm in Indiana, brother, so you got to give me a little bit more detail than that.
tech, bro. To make it techno and ecstasy. That's all you need to know.
Oh,
that sounds like a party.
So yeah, that festival was going on, and it's very popular here in Miami. So a bunch of my coworkers, are in their early 20s, and I tried to get my shift covered. Nobody wanted to take the shift, so I ended up getting to work late, and then they gave me the worst possible section like you can ever have being a server. Like I had one table in one corner of the restaurant, another table in the other corner of the restaurant, and then like a table of 30 outside. Like it was just bad. And I went to the bathroom, I called my wife, and I'm like, I think I've just had enough of this. Like, I walk in pain, I'm 355 pounds, I have gout, I'm walking with a brace, like you have to rub me down after each shift, on my ankles, and like it's not worth it. Like this is not worth it. Like I'm killing my body. So I just literally just, had an epiphany and I walked out of the restaurant. It was like a movie moment, like both doors fly open and I just walk out of there and it was like, screw you guys. but kind of like a half-baked moment. But yeah, man, like those eating habits, like I got them a lot in the restaurant business, eating late night. But even growing up, I don't know. I don't know if it was just I was always hungry. I don't know what it was, but I had a thing for sweets. You know, you would always find sweet, anything sweet, wrappers, Pop Tarts, wrappers, Pringles, everything was under my clothes in my closet. And but yeah, a lot it just didn't help with the restaurant business when I, finally got into it. Food everywhere. It was just food everywhere. So when I got with my wife, was with her through that for a bit, and then I left that lifestyle and I stopped, the sleeping late. I started with the intermittent fasting and just cutting it off, at this time, and it just worked out for me. And I'm satiated. I don't ever have a craving late night or nothing like that. It just doesn't happen anymore. I don't ever feel bloated, nothing. With keto and intermittent fasting in the gym and just being active, like I don't feel pain in my feet anymore. I used to take 800 milligram ibuprofen just to get through the day. That's gone. Like I don't take anything anymore, and it's amazing, man. I can't say that I felt like I did when I was 18, because I was obese at 18. I was obese at 13. I was obese at 8. I was obese at 3. I was since I was a kid. So this feeling now, this version of me now is a first, and I'm still getting to know this person. I did carnivore twice in January for World Carnivore Month. Killed it. Did like I lost like 11 pounds, and I think what also helped me was I won $200 worth of meat from Chris Bell from Certified Piedmontese, and just the fact that he even wrote to me, like I've seen his documentary. I follow, Mark Bell and the Mark Bell's Power Project, and it was dope, man. Had such a fanboy moment with that. And I was like, dude, you want to give me meat? That's awesome. And that helped me get through World Carnivore Month, and I lost 11 pounds. I got my first bicep vein. Like, it was dope, bro. Like, it was just awesome. And then in March, I did Danny Vega's keto carnivore cut, and that was kind of hard towards the tail end of it because coronavirus happened.
Yeah.
Coronavirus happened, and
Well,
it
it would
kind of
have been
like,
hard regardless in your defense.
yeah. But and yeah, that was like hundreds, if not thousands, of people that were competing in that. And I honestly was not satisfied with my results, but I had still lost, weight or whatever. But I felt great on carnivore. Is it sustainable for me? I don't think so, because I love pizza and guacamole and stuff like that, and keto ice cream, and I don't know. But yeah, the food addiction thing, like I feel like sometimes it's still there. Um, I'm always gonna love food. I just look at food now more as fuel. But on my cheat meal days, like my old self kind of like, hello, what's up? Remember me? Like my old self comes out. Like I told my wife, I have a craving for nachos, and I got that new like Taco Bell family nachos thing that's like huge, and I freaking downed the whole thing, dude, like in one sitting. And so it's still there. But I have had control of my mind. It's your mind is very powerful, and I hate to be cliche and use the Back to the Future quote, but if you could put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. So it's true,
So,
man.
so my second question for you
Sorry
is,
about if that was a long answer.
it was longer than the. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. I'm just giving you grief. You also mentioned sleep apnea,
Yes, sir.
and we've had different guys that have talked about living with that and how that impacts them and everything. And I think one of the big things is with sleep apnea is the fact that you never, from what I understand, you never feel rested. You never wake up and like, man, that was a great night's sleep. Let's go hit the day and everything.
Yep.
Did you struggle with that both before and once you started on keto and everything? And how did you can't really get caught up in sleep. So how did you find your way to getting the needed rest that you needed?
Well, everything just, as I started doing more and more cardio, I noticed, and my wife noticed that as I was eating better and cleaner, that the snoring started to go away. But she would record me, in video. She would record me in audio, and like I would stop breathing, and then all of a sudden, like catch my breath. She'll like tug me and push me, and I wouldn't wake up. And yeah, I would wake up not feeling rested, and I would never make it like through movies with her. Like we would watch movies, I'm always falling asleep. Like if I were to tell you how many videos she has of me like passing out through movies, now that doesn't happen. Now it's, sometimes she's like, "Okay, babe, I'm going to bed." Like I beat her now. Like she doesn't I don't ever like fall asleep in front of her now. But yeah, it was bad, the snoring, like I said, and it's still like I still snore when it comes to like if I have a cheat meal or something or I eat bad. Yeah, like my stomach is gonna feel it. Definitely gonna snore, and I need to have like Tums like ready just in case. But yeah, dude, it's crazy. I never actually went to the doctor and got that checked out, but I knew I had it, you know, and it just went away with just fixing my health and putting my health first, man, and just being active every single day, But I had a friend of mine that he had sleep apnea as well, and he was also overweight. He lost weight and he got rid of his sleep apnea, but I remember specifically seeing him like in front of me. I would go to his house, we're watching something on the TV, and then he's just dozing off in front of me, and I'm like, "Yo, it's freaking three in the afternoon. Are you kidding me?" And then he's like, "Oh my God." And then and then years later, it's happening to me. So I'm like, "Whoa, like this is not good." And it's like I said, the nutrition, being active, it just fixed it. There was no pill, there was no injection, there was nothing, there was no shake, there was nothing like that. Just old school, cooking your own food, eating whole food, nothing processed. My definition of clean food is, nothing processed, like eating whole foods. Um, so yeah, man, I'm just glad that that's over. Now my wife doesn't even hear me. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And what I
Yeah.
say, I admire your complete dedication to cheat meals. So you're like, yeah, I'm gonna sleep like crap, probably gonna snore. I'm gonna need some Tums, but this is all going down.
Because I know how my body's gonna react. I know that if I go into it with a plan, then maybe I won't feel as bad. But sometimes I do have that time where I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom. but but other than that, like I'm usually prepared, and I take care of it by making sure that I'm active and that I'm walking constantly and doing lots of cardio that day. And odds are, if I'm having a cheat day, it's gonna be a leg day. So definitely make sure the carbs go there. So, yep.
Yeah, there's definitely you on leg day, you because you're dealing with larger muscles, you technically speaking are almost guaranteed to burn more calories. So that
Yes,
makes
sir.
a lot of sense. So what was the thing that you found most surprising about the ketogenic journey and how your body responded and things like that?
Well, just the options. Like there was basically an alternative for every food that I liked. You know, um, cut the carb is something that I use a lot. Quest products is something that I use a lot. Um, but I love soda. I never had an issue drinking water, but I did grow up drinking soda. So and then I found Zevia. LaCroix and all and bubbly are cool, but that's more of like for like fruity type flavor. I like, soda flavor. Anything that tastes like Dr. Pepper root beer is totally up my alley. And but yeah, just there was always recipes to find, you know, it was never an issue. All the recipes were fun and involved food that I enjoy. and I would take certain dishes to Thanksgiving, to Super Bowl Sunday, and people are like, "Oh my God, this is great," and I'm like, "Yep, that's keto," and they're like, "What?" Like, yeah, yeah, man. There's just so many options. You can make it work with whatever you got. You can even do keto on a budget. I always tell people I don't got money to be shopping at Whole Foods and all these expensive places. Maybe, yeah, a couple items here and there, but for the most part, like I get it done in Walmart and I get it done in Publix, which is what we have here in Florida. And and I think like Trader Joe's and Aldi is another one, sometimes Target or whatever, but I don't buy the most expensive meat and it's not always grass fed. Like it's okay. But as far as like eggs are my favorite food. So it's got to be Vital Farms if I'm gonna have eggs. Um, and eggs. That's another thing. Like eggs are a big part of my diet. I have around like 6 to 7 eggs like every other day. Um, it's my superfood. Like I can do so many things with it. I've done egg fast before. And speaking of fasting, I've done the 72-hour fast before once. I actually want to do that again soon. Um, but it was, just minor little things, I've had rice my whole life. I'm Cuban. I'm Latino, cauliflower rice. This is my new norm. Okay, cool. Damn, cauliflower can make anything. Like there's just so many yeah, there's just so many options with cauliflower. I even made the fat dough pizza. And if you see my first pizza that I ever made and the pizza that I made now, like it's like, wow, you've gotten so much better at it's the same thing with how I do keto. It's the same thing with how I do my workouts. You're just gonna get better and better as you get deeper and deeper into it. So but yeah, that's basically how, what was very surprising to me that it was, a sustainable diet, in my opinion. I found it to be easy.
So you mentioned Florida. You've mentioned it a couple of times. And so most people will tie in Florida to that wonderful creature with big ears.
That's my
Uh,
dude.
so and I feel like we talked about this on a recent episode. I was trying to find out
It
which
was
one
a
it
shout out.
was.
Yeah, it was a shout out.
Yeah. So you went to Disney, and being a Hoosier, I always forget which one's Disneyland and which one's Disney World. So whatever. But so you went and you did very cool before and after photos in
Yeah.
the exact same spots
Yeah.
for
My wife
So
hated
talk a
it.
little bit about this. So yeah.
My wife was kind of like, "Are you serious? Come on. Like, let's go." And I'm like, "No, come on. I really want to take this picture." Nah, but she was very supportive and then she loved it too. She had a great time taking pictures of me and in the exact same spots. At first she was kind of like, "Really?" But she loved it. But yeah, man, I mean, being from Florida, as far as my family was concerned, we were middle class. We didn't really like go on plane trips anywhere. All we did was basically to road trips every year to Disney World and Universal Studios. That's basically where we would go, every single year as a kid. So Disney for me is that nostalgic, place that the minute I walk through those doors or pass through it or whatever, the gates, like I become a kid. I really do. And Gormy's the exact same way. Gormy loves
Mm-hmm.
Disney World. Now he's got Disneyland, so Disneyland is in LA. I always know, well, obviously I know because I'm from Florida, but the best way, I guess, for you to remember is to, I guess, incorporate like there's an L in Disneyland, like I guess incorporate that with Los Angeles, I guess.
Okay.
California, I guess to I guess think of it like that. But yeah, Disney World is what we got over here, and yeah, man, though, just to go back to those same spots and take those pictures,
What's
it
the
it, it
time
felt
difference
great.
between first, before, and after? How long between the two?
Um, I want to say about a year and a half I think it was 2 years, like 2 years. It was late 2018 when I was there in Disney. And then when we moved into my parents' house in January of 2019, I started keto. And since we were saving money, Disney trips were out of the picture. So I think I went to Disney like later on in the year. We kind of snuck a trip in there, I think. But I didn't take any pictures, like that. And we were annual pass holders for Disney and Universal, and then with the whole coronavirus thing, we kind of stopped both. Then when things started to pick up again, I got us back for Universal, and Disney froze their annual pass holder, tickets, so that they don't have that available right now. But we did get tickets, and we went, and just to fit in rides again that I didn't fit in before. But with Disney, I never really honestly had that issue. Gormy can tell you that Disney is very plus size friendly, and Universal Studios, on the other hand, not really. You ride the Hulk, and you pretty much got to be like a model to ride the Hulk, and small hips and all this stuff. A lot of the times, I had to look up. As crazy as it sounds, I had to look up on Google if I knew I was going to go on a trip. I would look up Universal Studios plus size rides or rides with modified seating, and I would look up forums, and people would say, okay, this ride is a go, this ride is a no go, and then sometimes I would just try, and it was almost 2 hours in line. And then to be told no, like it was embarrassing. Like you felt like a party you died, when that happened, because you were waiting in that. You were saying?
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that you're waiting in that line, and all that time. Sometimes you're with a group of people, and then to be told no, and then it's like in front of your friends, and it was just embarrassing. But I even remember the first time back after I lost so much weight, that ahead of me there was a pretty big guy, and he hopped into I forgot what roller coaster it was, but he hopped into it, and it didn't click for him. He didn't fit. So right there, all the anxiety and everything just came back to me, and I was just like, what if I don't fit? And my wife is like, are you freaking kidding me? You've lost over 100 pounds. You're gonna fit. And I'm like, oh, bro, but what if I don't? Like, I just started to get into my head. And sure enough, like, I got into the seat. It clicked. And usually some rides are like 2 clicks. So I clicked it, whatever. It went down. And then usually I'm used to somebody, coming and pushing me or pushing it to close or whatever. And Buddy came, checked it out. He goes, all right. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Come back. Are you sure? He goes, yeah, man, green light in the bottom. It's good. And he's like, yeah, there's a little light where you can't see. And if it's red, that means it's not closed. And if it's green, that means it's locked. It's good. And I'm like, okay. And I went on the ride, and it was amazing. Like, and dude, I got to ride what's it called? Rock and Rip Rocket and Universal. And it was one of those rides that it closes around your waist. And I was too thick. I was too wide to ride it. And the first time I rode it, I was like almost like scared shitless, man, because it was like such an intense. It was such I love roller coasters, but it was such an intense roller coaster because like it starts you off going straight up, like, and you're going straight up for like a while, and it's crazy. And then you pick your music, and it has music playing, and I was jamming to Limp Bizkit, Nookie. Like the whole time, just on the roller coaster, it was amazing, man. Like, just being able to walk through the parks easy now. Like it's there's just so much more life on this side, man. Like it's insane.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a really cool story. I'm digging it.
Yeah, I recently went to, well, not recently, a couple years ago now, pre-keto. Went to Six Flags in San Antonio. Had one of those experiences where I barely, like just barely fit in the chair. Like totally, it shouldn't, I squeezed it hard to get it, to close around me. And I was 280. So I wasn't, it was my heaviest, but in terms of heaviness, it wasn't the worst. you know, and that feeling of, ooh, I almost didn't make it. And I had intentionally gotten into the line with the big chairs because I wanted to make sure that I fit. So I know that feeling. I've always loved roller coasters and rides like that. I took, years ago now, I took an entire day just by myself at a local amusement park in Kansas City called Worlds of Fun. And I went the entire day, and because I was alone, I was able to ride everything multiple times. There's also, I think, midweek, and it wasn't the peak of summer or something. So it was just like I had free reign of almost anything in the park. And I rode every roller coaster 2 or 3 times and filmed them on my flip cam that I had just gotten. So this was probably close to 15 years ago at this point. But just really enjoyed that. But I think even then I probably realized that getting on those rides and locking in was getting a little bit harder. Even with the fact that I probably was nowhere close to my peak at that point. Let's start winding things down because we've been going a good while at this point. You've told an amazing story of your thing. What let's close out with one last question, then we'll get your contact information. What is your favorite, if you were to give a resource or two to someone who's just getting started? Where do you direct them? What's your top website or video resource or whatnot?
Definitely, that's actually what I do as, a keto coach. I tell them, listen, don't just follow me, follow others that I follow as well, because like they've helped me in their own little way. So obviously, Gormy's one of them, Danny and Mata Vega, Goody Beats, Keto Connect, um, bunch of people, Keto Conduct, you guys, I always tell people, it's, if you pick up from everyone here, you're just gonna be so successful. As far as like YouTube channels, I'm always watching Goody Beats. I think he's very real, down to earth. I talk to him all the time, Logan, and I like Thomas DeLauer as well, but he can get too, scientific about it, and I feel like sometimes I'm in biology class when he's talking. But as far as like one person who like really breaks it down, and I like Goody a lot. I like Logan. He's one of my go-tos. Um, as far as websites, not really, man. I mean, you can just find so many things. Women are really good with I always hear that from my women clients. Oh, you should check out Pinterest. And my wife has told me, you should see how many recipes I have from Pinterest. And I'm like, well, how come we never make them? Like, you never tell me about them. And then she just pops out with this folder of keto meals. And I'm like, oh, hello, all this looks delicious. How come we've never made this? So, there's definitely all sorts of resources out there. Like I said, YouTube has been a popular one. Um, Even looking up and following hashtags, I even do that with my workouts. If I want to change up a workout or shoulder routine or bicep routine that I do, I would look up either, um, YouTube videos, or I would look up hashtags. And, you get all sorts of videos from all sorts of people, working out shoulders and biceps or whatever, and you just learn new things. Um, Goody also throws in, his workouts or whatever. I remember him. I don't know if I asked him. I think I asked him, and he told me his split, and that's basically the split. Because I was always doing full body, and then I moved to doing full body with a focus. So I would do, 4 exercises for chest, for example, and then touch up every other muscle group after that. Um, and then, next day would be, bicep focus. So 4 exercises for that, and then 1 for everything else. And then now I'm just like actually like splitting up the muscle groups. Yesterday was chest and tricep. Today's back and bicep. And I'm feeling good. I'm doing it Monday through Friday, weekends off. Um, Ethan Suplee is another guy. Me and him talk pretty often. I remember he sent me a follow, and I was like, babe, Ethan Suplee, Ethan Suplee, and she's like, who's that? And I'm like, remember the Titans tuna from Blow, like Boy Meets World? Like, did you ever watch Boy Meets World, babe? And she goes, yeah. Oh my God, the big guy. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
And
done amazing.
dude, oh my God. He wrote back to me today because I had a question for him about resting heart rate, and he just such a down to earth guy, man. And I forgot to mention him, and he's not on keto, but still, I'm not saying that keto is gonna work for you. Maybe it's something else, but those are people that I get daily motivation from, and I love it, man. I love it, and that's why I say, like, to everybody, make sure that you continue pumping out content. You guys continue pumping out content because we're saving lives. A couple months ago back, I got a message from a buddy of mine, that I knew in high school. He was pretty fit, played football, and he had gotten to, like, I think 380 pounds. He, nearing 400 pounds, and he wrote to me and told me, "Yo, I want you to be my coach eventually. Um, once I get myself situated financially, I'm definitely gonna reach out to you or whatever." And I don't charge a lot. Like, I compared to the competition, I don't charge a lot, and but he told me that he was gonna reach out to me when he was ready, and next thing you know, he dies of a heart attack. And yeah, man, it was really bad, and I felt bad because I was like, I could have helped him, but then I couldn't throw that on myself either. Like, it's his life and the lifestyle that he led, and I just feel bad that it took him that way, and he didn't fix it. Another guy that I follow, I don't know if you guys know Dusty. He doesn't do keto, but I think his Instagram handle is Dusty loses 300 or lost 300 or whatever. But it's funny because they're always putting him on keto ads on Instagram, and you'll see him in the comments. I've never done keto a day in my life. But he's because I got a group chat with Gormy and him and Alex Poro. I don't know if you guys ever met him. But yeah, like, all these guys have been so helpful, with all the knowledge, that all the tips and tricks and everything, and you just got to be willing to learn, and beginner once, student always. Like,
there you go.
Yeah, man.
Very cool. Go ahead and give out your contact information, how people can connect with you, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, website, whatever that may be, and then we'll wrap things up.
Sure. You can reach me through, Instagram at keto_D, or you can email me at ketodcoaching@gmail.com. Working on a website, working on a YouTube channel, all that will be hopefully coming out before the end of the year. So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, definitely, folks, connect with David. He, as you can tell, he's got a lot of earned, knowledge at this point, and continues to dig and dive deeper and learn whatever he's needing to, and he's going to continue to be a wealth of knowledge for folks as best as he can be. For us, a reminder that you can connect with us. Just visit our website, theketomansclub.com, and all of our links to all of our social media accounts, the Facebook groups, the Facebook page, everything is there. So go ahead and check that out whenever you get the chance to, after or even while listening. You never know. If you found a value in this conversation and think that someone else around you might also find it valuable, please feel free to share. It might be that thing that they need to hear that will help them change the course of their lives. And so please share. Please put this in front of someone who you think might benefit from it. We appreciate you greatly and all of that. Any other business to attend to, guys? Jim, Alberto?
I'm good.
Okay, very good. Well, until next week, make sure to eat meat, lift heavy, sleep, and repeat. Thank you for joining us for the Keto Man's Club podcast. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Would you help us spread the word about the Keto Man's Club by sharing with your friends and family? We're available on all podcast platforms, so just search for Keto Man's Club and you'll find us. If you would like to connect with us, you can do so a number of ways. Our web address leads to our Facebook group, theketomansclub.com. That's TheKetoMansClub.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Keto Man's Club Podcast. Lastly, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out via email to KetoMansClubPodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to hanging out with you again next week.